The sun was setting over the Pacific Ocean, casting a golden glow across the waves. The USS Liberty, a state-of-the-art Navy destroyer, was on a routine patrol mission when radar operator Ensign Laura Hayes noticed something unusual. A small vessel, painted an eerie shade of blue, was drifting aimlessly about 5 miles off their starboard side. It wasn't responding to radio calls, and its transponder was offline. "Captain, we've got an unidentified vessel at our 3 o'clock, Laura reported, her voice steady but tinged with curiosity. "No signs of movement or communication. Should we investigate?" Captain James Mitchell, a seasoned officer with over 20 years of service, adjusted his cap and peered through his binoculars. The blue boat looked old, almost antique, with peeling paint and a tattered sail. Yet, there was something unsettling about it. It didn't belong in these waters. "Bring us alongside," Captain Mitchell ordered. "Prepare a boarding party. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the Liberty approached the blue boat, the crew noticed how eerily silent it was. No engine noise, no signs of life, just the creaking of wood as it bobbed on the waves. A team of 6 sailors, led by Lieutenant Commander Sarah Blake, geared up and prepared to board the vessel. The boarding party climbed onto the blue boat, their boots echoing on the weathered deck. The air was thick with the smell of salt and decay. The boat's interior was dark, its windows covered with grime. Sarah signaled for her team to spread out and search for clues. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Sarah called out, her voice echoing in the silence. There was no response. The first room they entered appeared to be a cabin. It was cluttered with strange objects, old maps covered in symbols that none of the sailors recognized, jars filled with what looked like preserved sea creatures, and a dusty journal written in a language that seemed to shift and change as they tried to read it. "Captain, you need to see this," Sarah radioed back to the Liberty. "This isn't just some abandoned fishing boat. There's something off about it." As the team moved deeper into the boat, they found more unsettling items. A locked chest with intricate carvings of sea monsters, a collection of human teeth strung together like a necklace, and a strange, pulsating blue light emanating from the engine room. The engine room was the most bizarre part of the boat. Instead of a conventional engine, there was a large, glowing crystal suspended in a web of wires and tubes. The crystal pulsed rhythmically, as if it were alive. Surrounding it were more of the strange symbols they had seen on the maps, etched into the walls and floor. "What the hell is this thing?" one of the sailors muttered, his voice trembling. Sarah approached the crystal cautiously. As she got closer, she noticed that the air around it felt charged, like the static before a storm. She reached out to touch it, but before her fingers could make contact, the crystal flared brightly, and the entire boat shuddered. Outside, the calm ocean suddenly turned violent. Dark clouds rolled in, and the waves grew taller and more menacing. The Liberty rocked violently, and Captain Mitchell barked orders to secure the ship. "Sarah, get your team out of there now!" he shouted over the radio. But it was too late. The blue boat began to emit a low, resonant hum, and the crystal's light grew brighter. The sailors on board felt a strange pressure in their heads, as if the boat itself was trying to communicate with them or control them. As the storm raged, a figure emerged from the shadows of the boat. It was humanoid, but not human. Its skin was pale and translucent, its eyes glowing the same eerie blue as the crystal. It moved unnaturally, as if it were gliding rather than walking. The sailors froze, their training momentarily forgotten in the face of something so alien. The entity raised a hand, and the crystal's light intensified. The sailors felt an overwhelming urge to kneel, as if they were in the presence of a god. What are you?" Sarah managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. The entity didn't speak, but its voice echoed in their minds. "You have awakened me. Now you will serve." Sarah fought against the entity's influence, her military training kicking in. She grabbed a flare from her belt and hurled it at the crystal. The flare struck the crystal, causing it to crack and sputter. The entity let out a deafening screech, and the boat began to collapse in on itself. "Run," Sarah shouted, leading her team back to the deck. They leaped onto the Liberty, just as the blue boat was consumed by a blinding blue light. When the light faded, the boat was gone, leaving only a swirling vortex in the water. The storm subsided as quickly as it had begun, and the Liberty was left drifting in an eerily calm sea. The crew was shaken but alive. Captain Mitchell ordered a full debriefing, and the strange artifacts they had recovered from the blue boat were sealed in a secure compartment. But the mystery of the blue boat lingered. What was the entity? Where had the boat come from? And why had it chosen to reveal itself now? Days later, as the Liberty returned to port, Sarah found herself haunted by the experience. She couldn't shake the feeling that the entity wasn't truly gone, that it was still out there, waiting. Her suspicions were confirmed when she discovered a small, glowing shard of the crystal in her pocket. It pulsed faintly, as if alive. As she stared at the shard, she heard the entity's voice in her mind once more. "You cannot escape. The sea is mine, and soon the world will be too." If you found this story touching and inspiring, please like the video, share it with others, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for following along, and we'll see you next time for more uplifting tales.